a Playlyst original.
Welcome to the Pilot Podcast,
where we review the pilot episodes of TV shows to answer your question, should I watch this?
My name is Mitu.
And my name is BJ.
And this week we're watching Palm Royale on Apple TV+.
So stay tuned to find out about Mitu's adventures at a country club.
Whoa. Okay, let's see what I can come up with.
Before that, how about you tell us what's happening in Palm Beach?
All right. In 1969, Maxine, played by Kristen Wiig, is desperate to cross the line between the haves and the have-nots and join the women of the shiny sheet in Palm Beach. Queen Bee Evelyn, played by Allison Janney, Queen Bee in Waiting, Dina, played by Leslie Bibb, booze-soaked Mary Jones, played by Julia Duffy, and Empress Raquel, played by Claudia Ferri.
Ooh. So I will say, this being a Kristen Wiig-led show, and I think executive produced as well.
Yes.
It is a funny series.
It is funny, but sometimes it's funny, haha, and sometimes it's funny, I'm really scared.
Yes, it is dark. The things that Maxine is willing to do to get into high society, to meet the Palm Royale, to befriend these ladies, it's a little scary. She doesn't question her choices at all.
Yes, and we can get into those reasons for her choices and the need for the questioning. But the desperation to me is so terrifying. She sets up, as a light spoiler, a way for her to meet Dina more closely by having Dina rear-end her at a very high speed in their two cars, and she really hits her head.
Yeah, this is before cars had modern safety systems.
Yeah.
So she actually got hurt.
And you can tell she was thrilled. There was a brief moment where she was like, ouch. But then aside from that, she was just flying. She had done it. She set up the meet.
Yeah, after the ouch, she said, oh, perfect. This is what I wanted.
This is what I wanted to see.
And I think it's just kind of, like you said, scary, but also unsettling how Maxine thinks that this is the only way she can be happy. She has to have a life similar to Dina or Evelyn. She has to have that wealth and class. She has to go to a country club. And it doesn't feel like she's considering other options.
And she has a loose relationship with the truth. So she also is such an unreliable narrator in this show and an unreliable person through which to view the show because you can't tell when she's being honest or not. Because there are things that she says that sound truthful but turn out to be far from it. And then there are things that she says that really sound like lies. It truly sounds like a silly Kristen Wiig improv moment. And then it turns out those things are true? ?
Yes, I think you're hinting at a reveal that happened at the end of the pilot episode where there's something that she tells everyone at the beginning. It sounded like a lie. As she was saying it, she just kind of added a little more and more.
Yes.
And it is mostly, maybe even all true.
I think.
I don't know.
I can't tell. Yeah, that's the show. But it's also really funny. And it's not Apple TV if there's not a ton of stunt casting. So we have Kaya Gerber as Maxine's manicurist Mitzi. We have Ricky Martin as this waiter in the know, Robert. We have Laura Dern as your local feminist activist. There's actually a scene between Laura Dern and Kristen Wiig that cracked me up so much, where they're trying to make eye contact and speak through eye contact. And then Kristen Wiig Maxine just blurts what she wanted ultimately. And it's just, I don't want to give it away, but it's very funny.
And Carol Burnett as this mysterious character, Norma, that Maxine is seen hanging out with throughout the episode. There are a lot of questions that come up with that relationship.
That is so unsettling as well. And there's also 25 other names of actors we have not mentioned, and they're all exciting. And I think that that is one place where the show could be improved, is there are so many different people and storylines. And they're all big deals. So I assume if you put Alice and Janney in a show, we're going to have a lot of Alice and Janney. I assume we're going to have a lot of Kristen Wiig, Leslie Bibb. I assume you wouldn't have Carol Burnett in a show just to do what she was doing in the pilot episode. I assume if you cast Ricky Martin, you're going to give us Ricky Martin. There's just a lot here, and I couldn't quite get a grasp on who I'm supposed to focus on beyond Maxine. I think the storylines in this pilot could have used some editing, some focusing. And then there's the whole feminist section of the show, too.
Yeah, there's that whole tangent. Not that feminism is a tangent, but in this series, it feels like it.
I know, we really sound like Phyllis Schlafly. Like, we're like, well, why do women, they already have everything they need, don't they? But in reality, there really is a group of women who are feminists in this show that for right now, it feels like a separate show that they added in for a few minutes of this show.
Exactly. And with this huge cast, like you mentioned, they all could have their own story that they could lead. And it's a challenge because Maxine has set up maybe like 3 or 4 storylines at least about what she wants, who she is, who she knows, where she's been. And despite Apple TV's high budget, because this show looks beautiful and they obviously can pay some good salaries, I don't know if they can fit that much story into a 10-episode series.
And to your point, which we talked about before we started recording, the storylines are interesting.
I want to know. That is good and bad.
Yes. So how is it sustainable in this pilot episode? As you said, we have multiple storylines for Maxine alone. And then each of these ladies in the high society are introduced in really intriguing ways. And then we have these side characters that in any other context could have been main characters on other shows. It just felt like too much to try to follow.
It did. I will say I enjoy following Maxine as this outsider. She says multiple times, I'm new to town and I'm lonely and want to make friends. And that is compelling, especially after we watched Baby Reindeer last week. Someone who just wants a friend and is kind of creepy. Maxine is not on that level, but definitely has those questionable moments of how desperate are you to be friends with the Palm Royale?
I think Maxine is just shy of Baby Reindeer. And I mean that. Based on some things we saw in this pilot episode, I think she is just like on the precipice of being Baby Reindeer.
She is a little more clever with her stalker-ish moments. Baby Reindeer was just very overt. I'm going to do this. I'm going to say this. Maxine, she's planning. She's plotting.
That's true. Where Baby Reindeer was making 50 calls and emails in a night and photoshopping things on Facebook posts, Maxine was like saying things to one person, kind of a doublespeak way to get them to say things to another person. That's true. She is more clever about her game. So both creepy, just one with a little more finesse. But as you said, she's fun.
She is. That finesse is enough. It pulls you in. She's charming. We find out she is a pageant girl. And I think she's using that pageant charm to win over as many people as she can.
And what helps on this show, which feels kind of dark to say, is these are kind of bad people. So I don't mind seeing Maxine finesse her way through these women and really these characters beyond just these 4 people.
But the question is, why is Maxine finessing her way through these women and this country club?
Yes, that was one of my main questions coming out of watching this pilot. I don't need a plot fully spoon-fed to me. I understand that things are revealed and the point is building intrigue, especially in a show like this, with the way that it started, where it starts kind of explosively and it seems like we are going backward from that moment. However, it is clear she's obsessed with becoming a high society woman, but the draw for her is unclear. And I wish that they had shown other strivers, maybe some looky-loos as the women were going about, or something to kind of show like everybody wants to be one of these women of the society sheet. But instead, we just have Maxine being obsessed with becoming one of these women.
I really thought they would give us some sort of hint or explanation at the end of the pilot. Instead, we just get like clips of what's to come. And I thought they would set it up as basically a modern day twist of ABC's Revenge, where someone has like done something to Maxine's family years ago, and now she wants to tear down these women. But it seems like she legit just wants to be one of them.
That's what it seems. And I think they introduced then too many women in the show, too many people, period, too many cooks, but too many women in the show who don't care. So in Mitzi, the manicurist, she's just ready to be a model and get out of that town. And then in the group of feminists, which is just a wild thing to keep saying, but you see that they don't care at all about the society women. And some people seem to really dislike the society women. And then you also just see regular women going about their day, not really giving a hoot about these society sheet women. And then we have Maxine. So again, I just wish maybe if we had seen like a couple strivers, a couple other people being obsessed, or even people reading the society sheet, like seeing people even just in background, newspaper open to the shiny sheet. Even if we could just see that, I think that could be enough to show us why Maxine might be interested in becoming one of these women.
That's a good idea that they probably will not incorporate.
No, I mean...
Or did not incorporate.
The finale has already aired. It's done.
They filmed this last year, maybe even 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's in the can. They probably have
Apple last minute edits, please.
Yeah, Apple, random podcaster Me Too, said that we just have to include this one scene. You understand.
Can we do some reshoots? You can splice those in. Y'all have the technology.
No, they are not George Lucas.
They could be. Okay, so Me Too. What would you rate Palm Royale on Apple TV Plus?
I would rate this show would watch while cooking. I say that because I'm curious enough about the storylines, but I just know in my gut that there are things that will be dropped or stories that can't be pursued because it's just too many people, too many plots, and not enough episodes. But I'm still intrigued and I still want to keep checking it out. And I think if you also like messy TV and if you like Kristen Wiig, I think you'll enjoy this as well.
I feel pretty much the same. I would rate it would watch while cooking. I think there are some really interesting storylines, especially all of the ones involving Maxine and who she knows. And I kind of want to see her finessing, her plotting, her journey.
Yeah.
And that's enough to keep me going. Okay, Me Too. It's about your adventures or stories or moments at country clubs. Did you order any fancy drinks that they had to like run out and buy ingredients for?
I think that would require me to have gone to a country club.
Yes.
And I'm struggling to think of if I have been to a country club.
Really? I don't want to reveal your past too much, but I figured you would at least have been invited by someone you know.
Not reveal my past, my lore. You know what? I did grow up in the South where a lot of people have country clubs in their neighborhoods. So that's what I'm trying to remember. Like, did I go to a high school friend's like pool party or something? And if so, that was probably at a country club. So maybe that. It doesn't stick out. I can tell you country clubs make me think of golf, and then golf makes me think of mini golf, and I'm really good at mini golf. So that's where my train of thought went.
Whoa.
So And then I was thinking about how I want to do Topgolf because I was watching Abbott Elementary and then it made me really want to do Topgolf like Eddie. And so unfortunately, that's why I froze, is because I was like, this is unproductive thinking you're doing.
There's a Topgolf near me.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Okay, we'll go.
I have another question for you.
Okay.
Do you think you'll read the novel that this show is based on, Mr. and Mrs. American Pie by Juliet McDaniel?
Yes, I absolutely would. And
As our resident reader, I figured you would.
This sounds like a good, juicy book.
Well, if you want to find some juicy recommendations, head to our website at thepilotpodcast.com, and you can follow us on all of your favorite podcast platforms.
You can also follow us on Instagram, X, and TikTok at The Pilot Pod, and you can send thoughts, feelings, weird dreams. I'm back on having weird dreams, so I'd like to know about your weird dreams. And show recommendations, because every other week, just like this one, we do a show recommended by you, our wonderful listeners, to askthepilotpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks for listening.
Bye.